guys, it's Spaceman Matt, here to review the 7th Doctor episodes available to stream on Tubi TV in America. This is without a paywall. You just have to watch advertisements. And this is the first time this is available for free on demand. I covered Doctors 1 through 6 in the other videos, so if you made it through all 7, congratulations. Again, this is I review the episodes here just to tell you what to skip and what to watch. There's a lot of skippable episodes for Sylvester McCoy, so hopefully this video will be relatively brief. Again, if there are ones that you want to watch, I would suggest watching them one episode at a time, taking a break, and then getting on to the next episode. This way, I think the pacing is a lot slower than you're probably used to if you're watching just new Who or newer TV shows in general, especially American shows as opposed to British shows. I think the pacing is a lot slower with British shows, especially from the 80s and earlier time periods. So Doctor Who was canceled and then brought back for the Trial of Time Lord. Then they agreed to do 3 more seasons with a new Doctor. They wanted to get rid of Colin Baker. That was the management of the BBC. It was Michael Grade or some of the top executives there said, Doctor Who could do 3 more seasons, but they didn't like Colin Baker. And then after the 3 seasons, they review it again and see if they wanted to continue, which of course they didn't. And then we had to wait until 1986 to get the TV movie, 1996 rather, to get the TV movie. So and also Eric Saward, who was the script editor for the first couple of seasons that John Rolfe through the Peter Davison era, I believe, and the first part of the Colin Baker era, left the show, and he was replaced by Andrew Cartmel, who had no previous script editing experience. He was a computer programmer, and somehow he wound up on script editing Doctor Who. I've seen him in interviews recently where he talks about there was a plot to make the Doctor more mysterious again, and it's quite similar to what Chris Chibnall did, but of course Andrew Cartmel said, "Oh no, that was completely different," but he didn't say how it was completely different, because it seems kind of similar to me, although the Chris Chibnall was that the Timeless Child thing was a little slightly better realized than it was in Doctor Who. I guess if it had continued, they would have fleshed out that story that the Doctor really was more than a Time Lord, or something other than a plain old Time Lord. So the first episode is Time of the Rani. This brings back the Rani, who had a very good episode, Mark of the Rani. This one, unfortunately, isn't so great. The Rani's plot is she has this giant space brain or whatever, and she uses kidnapped scientists, mostly from Earth, ones like Louis Pasteur and Albert Einstein. I can understand Einstein. I'm not sure why Pasteur would have been used, and it seems like mostly human scientists she abducts. When there's all these different, maybe she get Time Lord scientists and other scientists from other planets that might be a little smarter, have advanced technology, but she kidnaps the scientists to use their brains to help her giant brain do its thing, and she has to make a substitute matter for strange matter that she needs to create this, I forget what it's called, a time manipulator or whatever, but she has to basically destroy this planet where these lizard people are, as this guy here, the Kershans, and she wants to use the planet to make a giant, I think she calls it a time manipulator. It's so something the space brains would expand to take over the whole planet, I guess, and then she could use it to take over the universe, I guess. which is kind of, again, out of character from the Ronnie was in the in Mark and the Run, she's really just supposed to be a scientist without scruples and not planning to take over the whole universe. But it's so I think it kind of made her more like the Master in this case. And it's weird. The final scene is where there's a rocket launch to where she's trying to create the space brain thing, or the time manipulator from the space brain, and she has to blow up like an asteroid or something to start off a chain reaction. And it's quite a similar thing to Star Trek Generations. It seemed like they lifted that scene where Soren has to blow up something with a missile to get the Nexus wave to come to the planet that he's on, because for whatever reason he can't actually fly into the Nexus. I never got that one from Star Trek Generations, that is. And the scenes are very similar, and also the scene where Soren and Kirk are fighting, and the Kirk falls to his death, and the bridge collapses and falls on top of him. Quite similar to the way Tom Baker died in Legopolis. So I thought that maybe those scenes were kind of lifted from Doctor Who. But, let me know what you think. Paradise Towers was another skippable one. There's a J.G. Ballard novel called High Rise, and this is like the Doctor Who version of it. I think High Rise kind of was inspiration for this story, in that it's a self-contained building where it's kind of society's falling apart, and the resident, there's gangs all contained within the building. It's supposed to be a nice luxury apartment, but instead it de-evolves into a different faction of fighting people, elderly people who've turned to cannibalism because they can't get enough food. It's all very strange, and there's the building houses the great architect in a tomb, but he's like still conscious, and he's trying to use the robot cleaners to I guess kill all the residents at some point. I don't know what the end game there is for the great architect, but it was again a very lackluster, I think not very well thought out episode. There's some cute, there's this guy Pex, who's like a parody of the action hero type of traditional action hero, but he's actually a coward. I think that was probably the cutest part of the episode. Other than that, it's really skippable. And there's Delta and the Bannerman, which it's about aliens, tourists that want to go to Disneyland in the 50s, America, because it would be a lot of fun, I guess, for them. And then they transform into humans, and they go down but they wind up in a holiday camp. There's another set of aliens, an alien prince and princess, and they're having a baby. And if I remember correctly, or something along those lines, where there's an alien princess that's having a baby with a human. I can't remember the story, but it's I think it's not that well done, and probably a pretty skippable episode overall. This is the Dragonfire is the final episode of the series, and in spite of some plot holes, I think it's kind of an interesting story. I don't remember the details of it, but it had a great special effect where the bad guy's face melts off, because he's kind of like it's an ice world, so he's kind of needs colder temperatures than normal, kind of like Mr. Freeze, and then he gets exposed to sunlight, and his face melts off. I don't remember too much about the plot. I should have reviewed it before I started making the video, but this is probably, if you want to watch one episode from the season, this is the one to watch. I think the rest of them you can probably skip. And we go on to season 25, which is the 25th anniversary season. So season 25 was the 25th anniversary season, and they gave a basic premise to a couple of writers, and Ben Aronovich came up with this story, and then Kevin Clark came up with a similar story, which became Silver Nemesis. Both stories feature an artifact from Gallifrey hidden on Earth, and the Doctor having to deal uh, with the aliens and getting back this artifact. In this case, it's the Hand of Omega, and it's the Daleks involved. Again, if you watch once Sylvester McCoy episode, I do suggest watch Remembrance of the Daleks. I think it's probably the best episode of his entire run. If they were all as good as this one, I think I would have been a big Seventh Doctor fan. Unfortunately, that's not the case. This is overall they did a very good job with the story, and it's a lot of fun. And the Daleks, and there's a surprise at the end with the Emperor Dalek, and you have to watch it to see what it's about if you haven't seen it already. It's a lot of fun. It's also brings back, because it's he goes back to Coal Hill School where and Totter's Lane where the story originally. So it's just after the first Doctor left Earth in '63, and he's returned to get the Hand of Omega, which apparently the first Doctor was hiding on Earth, among other things. He was doing there. And so the Hand of Omega is a stellar manipulator. It helped create the black hole that powers Gallifrey, and later we learn in the TV movie it powers all the TARDISes as well. So this is again I think a fun episode. It's worth watching. This little girl is an evil little girl controlled by the Daleks, which is not really evil. She's just under control of the Daleks. She's I guess a good little schoolgirl normally. And they need her brain for, they need a child's brain for creativity, because we established in Destiny of the Daleks that the Daleks needed creativity in order to win wars and stuff like that, to defeat the Vellans, and in this case, help find the Hand of Omega. Then we have the Happiness Patrol, which was, to me, a big mess. They don't show you the Candyman. I'll put a picture of him up there. He was the most interesting thing. He's a monster made of candy, and it's sort of like it's all about forcing people to be happy, forcing people, I guess, to be something they're not, or something, to think in a way that is more congenial when you're not happy, or you're not happy with your situation. Just it's like forcing people to make the best of a bad situation, even when they know it's not probably the best thing to do for them. So then we have Silver Nemesis, again another anniversary episode. This involves this statue. Let me look up. I forget the name of the statue is called a Nemesis, but I forget what the material is called. So, okay. So this is the other anniversary episode, Silver Nemesis, which features the Cybermen. And this is Lady Painforth, and she has a statue made of her of this material called Validium, which is another Time Lord material. And she calls the statue Nemesis, and it has the Validium is kind of a sentient material, and it's another weapon of the Time Lords. And the Doctor has to use it to defeat the Cybermen. There's one scene in the last episode which I find interesting, because there's the movie Screamers that seems to have lifted that scene from the end of their movie, where the exhausts from the rocket that takes the Validium up to space destroys the Cyber Leader. I think there's a similar scene in the end of the movie Screamers, so I don't know if that's was lifted from the movie Screamers is based on a Philip K. Dick story, but I don't know. I haven't read the story, so I don't know how that ends, to see if that, maybe the Doctor Who lifted that ending from that, but I think the film lifted the ending from Doctor Who, and where the Cyberman, this is like the baddie in Screamers gets blown up by the rocket exhaust, and the cyber leader gets blown up in the rocket exhaust in a similar way. But I digress. Then they have the Greatest Show of the Galaxy, which was again not an appealing episode to me. It's the last one of the season, and they have the Gods of Ragnarok, who I guess feed off of people's performance pressure, and so they, for some reason, they never did an episode set in a circus, and I just thought it was just kind of a mess, this episode, and it's probably not worth your time. And we have the last season of Doctor Who. There seems to be a great tonal shift too. The Doctor is kind of silly for his first two seasons, then becomes more serious and brooding, like Doctor Who: The Dark Knight. It's probably the character changes quite a bit. But I think these episodes suffer from very poor script editing. I think the season is the worst of the three in terms of script editing. I don't know if Carmel had help in the first two seasons and then was on his own for this season, because it really gets bad. And Battlefield is this is an alternative Morgaine from the Knights of the Round Table. There, King Arthur's nemesis, played by Jean Marsh, who was married to John Pertwee briefly. She plays Morgaine, the villain, or Morgana. I forget what they call her in this one. But she's the nemesis of King Arthur, and she refers to the Doctor as Merlin, because in the alternate universe where she comes from, the Doctor is Merlin. And this one is just kind of overall a mess, and again, it really suffers from bad script editing. Also, as the return of the Brigadier, there's the return of the Brigadier, and you see Bessie in this one, and it's other than that, it's if you're really a fan of the Brigadier and unit, this is they have a new Brigadier, Bambera, I think, in this one. And unless you're a big unit fan, I mean, it's probably definitely one you want to skip. Then we have Ghostlight, which made absolutely no sense at all. I think this is a Mark Platt one, and I think I read one of the novelizations, and I just maybe they'll did a little better with the not the novelization of this, but like the new adventure novels that he wrote. I think he did a little better. Maybe he had a better editor for that one. But this kind of makes no sense. I think this alien's called Light, and he wants to catalog the universe, but the universe keeps changing, and it's making him angry. And that's the most I can make from the episode. And the Doctor he wants to stop everything, so he wants everything to stay the same, so he can catalog everything. I think that's what's going on there. Otherwise, the whole episode was a mess and didn't make any sense, and it's very skippable. Then we have the Curse of Fenric, which is also they may be referring to Fenric, though. He's a big bad evil manifestation, similar to the devil, I guess. And this is set in World War II Britain, and it's about decoding. This guy gets possessed by Fenric, and he's like these decoding messages from the Nazis, and that's something to do with his decoding machine and the Fenric scrolls that reactivate Fenric, and it's again kind of a mess. I didn't find it enjoyable. I think some people like this episode, but I think it's kind of dark and not too coherent. And finally, again, we can skip Survival. And this again brings up the Master, and there he is there, and a race of cat-like aliens, and then it's about some teenagers from Perryvale, where Ace is from, and she has to. So they get transported to this world where the master is. They start to turn into cat-like creatures themselves. Oh yeah, I forgot to even mention this in Dragonfire. So Mel leaves with this guy named Glitz. Melanie Bush leaves in Dragonfire in the season 24, and they go off. She goes off with this unsavory character named Glitz for no reason other than they had to get her off the show. And when she returns in New Who, she's they don't make any explanation of what happened to Glitz. The actor that played Glitz died, so they couldn't bring him back. So I'm not sure what happened there, how she got back to Earth to be in New Who. I think that's kind of interesting. Maybe they'll explain that at some point. So the Master here is kind of, not it was kind of a sad ending. I think that the video game Destiny of the Doctors brings him back, so he gets to be the Master one last time. And the Destiny of the Doctors, if you see the cutscenes from the video game, I think he's hamming it up, is having a lot of fun there, and that was I think a better ending for the Master than this episode, unfortunately. So that's it for Sylvester McCoy. He does make an appearance in the TV movie, and I'll have this TV movie. I think you can only find streaming on Internet Archive. I don't think it's streaming anywhere else. I don't know what happened to the rights of it and stuff, and what's going on with that TV movie. That's another skippable one if you ask me. But they did transition with the 7th Doctor regenerating into the 8th Doctor, which I thought that was great that Sylvester McCoy came back to do that. Since they don't have the TV movie. I mean, they do have on Tubi TV. So Tubi TV, I can only find the TV movie, the Doctor Who movie made in 1996 with Fox Network. Is only in the Internet Archive. I can't find it streaming anywhere else, but you can watch it there. And I think so as I said, Sylvester McCoy appears in it for the regeneration scene, and I think so in the 90s, there was a dial-up service called America Online, and the people who were producing Philip Siegel and the people who were producing the Doctor Who TV movie used the American Online Doctor Who group to as kind of a focus group to for the TV movie. And I think one of the things that we said is that we would like to see, if he's going to be the 8th Doctor, we would like to see Sylvester McCoy regenerate into the new actor, which they did, which I think was nice of them. I'll talk about more of that. The movie's not available on Tubi, but there is this documentary called Doctor Who Am I, which is about the script writer for Doctor Who coming to conventions for the first time, and it's just his reaction to see fans who had a lot of negative opinions about the TV movie, and one thing about the Doctor being half human, and that's we're going to discuss that in detail, and more about the focus group that they kind of like a makeshift focus group that they used the America Online forum for, and how we influenced what happened with the movie. And I'll do that in the next video. And thanks for coming with me on this journey. I didn't talk too much about Sophie Aldred, who was Ace, who was Ace for the last Ace was the companion for the last 2 seasons. I think she was an improvement over Bonnie. That was the one bright spot. I think she was an improvement over Bonnie Langford, in my opinion. Other than that, just the writing and the script editing was just so bad for these last 2 seasons that it wasn't funny. And also the Silver Nemesis episode. It's bad. I don't think this is. I think they probably have the TV version of the Silver Nemesis episode. Though it makes more. Silver Nemesis makes more sense if you have the full DVD version of it, with cut scenes reintroduced into it. So if you watch Silver Nemesis here, I didn't watch it on here on Tubi yet, but if you watch Silver Nemesis here, you may find that it makes more sense if you have the extended cut DVD version. There's a lot of cut scenes, I guess, for time, but I think it makes more sense with the scenes added in. And it's more enjoyable, I think, because it's more coherent, or it's more cohesive. The narrative just flows a lot better with the additional scenes. So thanks for sticking. If you watched the whole video, thanks so much. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Subscribe to
Bye.
Spaceman Matt's Sci-Fi vlog today. The fate of the world depends on it, I guess.